All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are going deep, deep on these new MacBook Pros. You guys sent in a ton of stuff, like a lot.
It was a mountain.
We scaled that mountain, we mined it. And I think we found some serious gold in there.
Absolutely. Some real gems.
Stuff you'd actually want to know if you were thinking about buying one of these.
For sure, like beyond the hype.
Right. And to help us decode all the tech jargon, I've got, well, an actual expert. Someone who makes spec sheets sound fun. That's a superpower, by the way.
Try.
So first off the bat, Apple's making some big claims about these M4 chips. M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max. Most advanced chips ever in a Pro laptop. Is that just marketing? Or
Okay, there's always some spin, right?
Of course.
But with these, it's not just fluff. What's really different, like fundamentally, is the unified memory architecture.
Okay, time out. Unified memory. Explain it like I'm 5, because my brain just glazed over a little.
All right. Imagine a bunch of people working together, but they only have this tiny whiteboard to share.
Okay. Chaos.
Total chaos. That's kind of how older computers were. CPU, GPU, all fighting over limited memory.
So everyone's trying to write on the same tiny board at the same time.
Exactly. Now imagine you give each person their own huge whiteboard, and they can also see everyone else's board instantly.
Way more efficient.
Right. That's unified memory. Everyone's got direct access to this big pool of information. No bottlenecks, just pure speed.
So even if I'm just like opening a million tabs and switching between apps,
yeah,
it feels faster because of that.
You got it. But it also enables some seriously cool stuff. Like, have you seen this thing about the hardware-accelerated ray tracing engine?
Ray tracing. Isn't that usually for like hardcore gamers?
Usually, yeah. But here's the thing. Think of it this way. Ray tracing, it's like the difference between watching a cartoon and then a live-action movie.
Oh, okay. More realism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It simulates how light works in the real world. Reflection, shadows, everything just looks way more real.
Even if I'm not playing the latest video game.
Even just like 3D models. If you're into design or architecture, it's a whole other level of immersion.
Gotcha. So elevates the whole visual experience.
Yep, across the board.
Cool. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. We'll start with the kind of base model. The M4 chip in the 14-inch MacBook Pro comes with 16 GB memory standard. Is that enough for, the average person?
For most folks, yeah, totally. The M4 is a beast. Browsing, spreadsheets, video calls, even decent photo editing, it just doesn't even blink.
You sent me some wild speed comparisons. One that really popped out was video retiming in Topaz Video AI. The M4 was 27 times faster than the older 13-inch with the Intel Core i7.
That's not an improvement. That's like time travel. Think of all the time you'd save doing stuff like that.
Right. So, okay, M4 is the workhorse.
Yeah.
M4 Pro. That's where things get serious, right?
Yeah, M4 Pro is for the power users. Think scientists, engineers, people doing video editing on huge files, anyone running crazy simulations.
The people who need every ounce of juice, basically. And you've got the 14-inch or R, the 16-inch with that Pro chip. Does it, perform differently depending on the size?
The core is the same, but the 16-inch can have a slightly beefier version, just a bit more oomph for the super demanding stuff.
Interesting. And the speed comparisons on this one. DNA sequencing in Oxford Nanopore Minco, the M4 Pro, was nearly 30 times faster, still against that same Intel chip.
It's wild what they've squeezed into these things.
Okay, and now, the big dog, M4 Max.
Yeah.
Apple's calling it the world's most powerful chip in a laptop. Is there actually something that different about it?
M4 Max, oh yeah, that's a whole other animal. We're talking projects that used to need those massive desktop setups, like, working with large language models.
Large language models. Sounds intimidating.
It's basically a really smart AI that can, understand and write text like a human. Those chatbots that are getting so good, tools that summarize tons of info in seconds. M4 Max can handle that stuff on a LAPTP.
That wasn't even possible before.
Not really, no. And the speed. Look at 3D rendering in Redshift. The M4 Max is 65 times faster than the Intel.
That's not even an upgrade. That's a whole different category.
Exactly.
So, okay, these chips are powerful, no doubt. But Apple's also pushing this Apple Intelligence thing. The marketing is a bit vague. Is this just Siri with a new name, or...?
It's way more than Siri. Think of it as a whole bunch of AI stuff working behind the scenes to make you more efficient, more creative.
Okay, but give me an example. What can these writing tools actually do?
Imagine having a super smart editor built right into your laptop. It can suggest better grammar, tone, even rewrite sections to make your writing clearer. And summarizing long articles, it can do that in a flash.
Wait, hold on. I thought that was just basic spell check stuff. This is actually sophisticated.
Oh, yeah. Once you start using it, you'll wonder how you lived without it.
What about Siri? Anything new there?
Siri got a little makeover, looks nicer, understands you better, and you can type to Siri now, which is great for when you don't want to be talking to your computer out loud.
And knowing Apple, they're all about privacy. So with all this Apple intelligence, are they like snooping on my data?
Nope, they've been really careful about that. Most of the processing for these AI features happens right on your device.
So my data is not going up to the cloud and
Yeah.
potentially being,
Exposed,
Yeah.
no. It stays on your laptop, safe and sound.
Mm.
And for the really complex stuff that needs extra power, they use this thing called private cloud compute. Basically, they use their servers, but keep your data completely encrypted, totally anonymous.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Now, all this power is great, but what about battery life? Apple's saying up to 24 hours. Be honest, is that real-world usage, or am I going to be hunting for an outlet after, 3 hours?
Well, the 24 hours, that's for specific stuff, like just watching videos or browsing. If you're doing more intense work, it'll be less, but still way longer than the old models.
So 4K video editing, probably not a full day on one charge.
Right. But even with heavy use, the battery's impressive. Plus, you can fast charge it up to 50% in 30 minutes.
Okay, that's clutch. Now, here's the thing. Crazy powerful hardware is great, but what about the software? Are my apps even going to work on these things?
macOS is built to take advantage of these M4 chips, and there are tons of apps that are already optimized.
But specifics, what kind of apps are we talking?
Well, it depends what you do, right? For creative folks, there's Adobe, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro. Developers have Xcode, Unity, Docker. If you're into science and research, there's MATLAB, Autodesk, AutoCAD. I mean, I could go on.
Sounds like pretty much everyone's covered.
Yeah.
And these new MacBook Pros can run virtual machines, yeah. Is that something most people need, or?
Virtual machines are basically like running another whole operating system on your Mac, like Windows or Linux.
So if I need to use a program that's not made for macOS.
Exactly. Or if you're a developer who needs to test stuff across different platforms.
Makes sense. Okay, the display. Apple's calling it Liquid Retina XDR. And from the pictures you sent, it looks stunning. Break down the tech for me. What makes it so special?
It's all about brightness, contrast, and color accuracy. This display can hit a peak brightness of 1600 nits in HDR mode.
Nits?
Yeah, it's how we measure brightness. And for SDR stuff in bright light, it goes up to 1,000 nits.
So, I could work outside on a sunny day and actually see my screen.
Yep, and at night, it can dim down to just 1 nit, so it's super comfortable in low light, too. And the color accuracy is amazing. It covers the P3 color gamut, which is the gold standard for professional work.
And what's this nanotexture option I keep seeing?
Oh, nanotexture, that's a special coating that reduces glare. If you're in bright environments or if glare bothers you, it's a game changer.
Any downsides?
Some people think it makes the display a tiny bit less sharp, and it shows fingerprints more. But really, it's personal preference.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about the camera, mics, and speakers. Laptop camera, let's be honest, they used to be terrible. Did Apple actually fix that this time?
Oh, yeah, big time. They've got a 12 MP center stage camera now, and it's a huge improvement.
What's so much better about it?
Well, first, the image is way sharper. And second, it uses AI to keep you centered in the frame, even if you move around during a video call.
Oh man, I've been on so many calls where people are constantly drifting out of frame. That's brilliant.
Right. It's the little things. They also have this desk view feature, which is kind of cool.
Desk view, what's that?
It basically uses the wide-angle lens to show your desk, along with your face. So if you're showcasing a project or something during a video call.
That's actually really clever. I haven't seen that before. What about the audio? Are the mics and speakers any good?
They've got a studio-quality 3-mic array, so you sound amazing on calls. And the speaker system, get this, it has 6 speakers with spatial audio for Dolby Atmos.
6 speakers. Most laptops have 2, maybe 4 if you're lucky. What difference does that actually make?
It creates this wider, more immersive sound. It's almost like having surround sound on your laptop.
So it's not just louder, it's a richer experience?
Exactly. The spatial audio adds another layer of depth. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, last but not least, ports and connectivity. I'm glad to see Apple didn't go totally minimalist and get rid of everything. What did they include?
You've got Thunderbolt 4 ports, or Thunderbolt 5 on the Pro, and max HDMI, SDXC card slot, headphone jack, and the MagSafe 3 for charging.
So Plenty of options for hooking things up. What about Thunderbolt 5? I saw it's got speeds up to 120 gigabit chance. That's mind-boggling. But what does it actually mean for, like, using it?
Think transferring huge video files in seconds, backing up your entire photo library in a flash. That kind of speed.
No more waiting around for things to copy.
Exactly. It's a game changer if you work with big files or use high bandwidth devices.
What about wireless?
They've got the latest Wi-Fi 6E for faster speeds, less lag, and Bluetooth 5.3 for your wireless stuff.
So wire to wireless, we're good. Now, with all this power and connectivity, is security keeping up? Are these things as secure as they are powerful?
Security is definitely a big focus for Apple. The M4 chips have a dedicated secure enclave processor, handles all the sensitive stuff, passwords, biometric info, keeps it locked down tight.
Okay, so that's like one layer of protection.
Right. And macOS has built-in defenses against malware and all that nasty stuff. They also have Touch ID, which I don't know about you, but I love the convenience of that.
Oh, yeah. It's so much easier than typing in a password every time. What about Find My and File Vault? I saw those mentioned in the stuff you sent.
Find My. That's so you can locate your laptop if it gets lost or stolen. File Vault encrypts your whole hard drive.
So even if someone gets their hands on my Mac, my data is still protected.
Exactly. It's like having a digital safe for all your files. Gives you peace of mind. It's kind of crazy to think these MacBook Pros, they're almost blurring the lines between laptops and like those big desktop workstations.
I know, right? It wasn't that long ago that laptops were basically just for emails and like writing papers. Now they can handle some seriously heavy lifting.
It's amazing how far things have come. But specs are just one piece of the puzzle, right? Let's talk real world. What does all this mean for someone who's actually thinking about buying one of these machines?
Okay, so let's say I'm a photographer. I'm constantly on the go, shooting and editing high-res images. Which MacBook Pro would you point me towards?
For you, I'd say the 14-inch with the M4 Pro chip is a sweet spot. Portable enough to carry around, but plenty of power for even really demanding photo editing. And that 14-inch display, it's big enough to give you a good view of your images, but not so big that it's a pain to lug around.
What about battery life?
Yeah.
Photographers are always on the move. We don't want to be tethered to an outlet all the time.
Oh, you'd be impressed. The 14-inch M4 Pro can get you up to 17 hours on a single charge. That should be more than enough for a full day of shooting and editing.
That's pretty amazing. And for photographers, the display is crucial, right? We need accurate colors, high resolution.
Absolutely. And the Liquid Retina XDR display on these MacBook Pros, it checks all the boxes. A wide color gamut, supports the P3 color space, which is essential for professional photo editing. And with a resolution of 3024 by 1964 pixels, you're going to be able to see every little detail.
Sounds like a dream setup for a photographer. Okay, what if I'm a video editor working with like 4K or even 8K footage? Those files are huge GE. I need a machine that can handle that without choking.
For video editing, I'd say go all out. Get the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M4 Max chip. It's got the most powerful graphics processing unit, and you can configure it with up to 96 GB of unified memory.
So no more spinning beach ball while I'm trying to edit my timeline.
You should have silky smooth performance even with complex video edits. And that bigger 16-inch display gives you more screen real estate, which is always nice for video editors.
What about rendering times? That's always a pain point for video editors.
The M4 Max chip can significantly reduce rendering times, so you'll spend less time waiting and more time actually being creative.
All right, so we've covered photographers, we've covered video editors. What about software developers? What would you recommend for them?
For developers, I think either the 14-inch or the 16-inch with the M4 Pro chip would be a great choice. It really depends on their specific needs and workflow.
Memory and storage are super important for developers, right? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I'd recommend at least 32 GB of unified memory and a 1 TB SSD. That should give them plenty of space for multiple virtual machines and all their code libraries.
Apple's been making a big deal about the gaming capabilities of these new MacBook Pros. Are they actually legit gaming laptops, though?
Well, they're not specifically designed for gaming, but the M4 Pro and M4 Max chips, they've got some surprisingly powerful graphics.
So I could actually play some of the latest games on them.
Yeah, you can definitely play a wide range of games, including some AAA titles.
Would they be as good as like a dedicated gaming laptop from a company like Razer or Alienware?
Probably not. Those are built specifically for gaming with high refresh rate displays and crazy cooling systems. But for casual gamers who also need a powerful machine for work or school, these MacBook Pros are a great option.
All right, so we've looked at some specific professions. What if I'm just like a regular person who wants a really good all-around laptop? would one of these MacBook Pros be overkill?
Not at all. Even if you're not a pro photographer or video editor or developer, you can still benefit from all that power and performance.
So if I just want a laptop for, like, browsing the web, checking email, watching videos, maybe doing some light photo editing, I'd still be happy with one of these.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll get a level of responsiveness and smoothness that you just won't find in most other laptops.
Let's talk price. These MacBook Pros are definitely a premium product.
They are an investment for sure. But if you're looking for a machine that's going to last for years and provide exceptional performance, they're worth considering. Apple products also hold their value well, so if you decide to sell it later on, you should be able to get a decent chunk of your money back.
So you're paying for quality and longevity.
Exactly. You're investing in a machine that's going to keep up with your needs for years to come.
Speaking of the future, sustainability is becoming more and more important these days. How does Apple stack up in that regard?
Apple's been making a real effort in sustainability lately, and these MacBook Pros are a good example of that.
What are they doing specifically?
Well, the enclosure is made from 100% recycled aluminum, and they're using 100% recycled rare earth elements in the speakers.
So they're using recycled materials whenever possible.
Yep. And they're actively working to reduce their carbon footprint across their whole supply chain.
That's good to hear. It's important to think about the environmental impact when we're buying tech these days.
Absolutely. It's becoming more and more crucial to choose products that are both powerful and environmentally responsible.
Okay, so we've covered specs, real-world uses, price, sustainability. Anything else we should touch on before we wrap up our deep dive?
I think we've hit all the major points.
Awesome. Now, to make sure we really go deep on these specs, like we promised, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture. The overall trends in the laptop market and where Apple fits into all of that. It really feels like the laptop market changes every week these days. It's wild seeing what Apple's doing.
It's been interesting, that's for sure. They've always had, the sleek design, the focus on being easy to use, but the way they've been pushing performance lately.
Yeah, those M chips have been a game changer, no doubt.
It's kind of fascinating how they've taken what they know about designing chips and made a product that's honestly kind of unique.
Because by making their OWN chips, they have total control over how the hardware and the software work together, right?
Exactly. That's the key. That tight integration is what lets them squeeze out so much performance and make it so efficient.
And they're not afraid to, try new things. We've seen that with this display, the camera, all the AI stuff they're doing.
It's a bold approach, but it seems to be paying off. They've really carved out this niche, the premium laptop market, people who want the best, whether they're pros or just, demanding users.
But they're not the only ones making good laptops these days. You've got Dell, HP, Lenovo, Asus. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Oh, absolutely. There's tons of competition. But Apple, they've got a few advantages.
Like what?
Well, first, they've got a really loyal fan base. People who get into the Apple ecosystem, they tend to stick around.
I get that. Once you've got the iPhone, the iPad, the AirPods,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine switching to something else.
Right. And second, their brand just has this reputation, Apple, it means premium, it means cutting edge, and that matters to a lot of people.
So even if Apple's not the cheapest option, people will pay extra for that Apple experience.
There's definitely a halo effect going on, but it's not just about the logo, right? Apple products, they're known for being easy to use, and they work so well together.
That whole ecosystem thing we were talking about.
Yep. They've created this whole seamless world of Apple devices, and they're really good at selling that idea.
Looking ahead, what do you think is next? For Apple, but also for the whole laptop market in general.
Well, if we think about the big trends in tech, I think we're going to see laptops getting even more powerful, but also even more portable.
So thinner, lighter designs, but with even crazier performance.
Exactly. And AI, artificial intelligence, that's going to play a bigger and bigger role in shaping how we use these laptops.
We're already seeing hints of that with the Apple Intelligence stuff, those writing tools.
Right. But that's just the beginning. Imagine laptops that can, predict what you need, learn your habits, even help you solve really complex problems.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does, doesn't it? But I think that future's closer than we realize. And it'll be interesting to see how Apple, keeps pushing the boundaries, redefining what a laptop can even be.
Lots to be excited about, that's for sure. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the new MacBook Pro. We've covered the specs, what they mean in the real world, and even the big trends that are shaping the whole laptop landscape.
It's been a great conversation. I always love getting to talk about this stuff, where technology meets how people actually use it.
Me too. Now, before we sign off, any final thoughts for our listeners?
With these new MacBook Pros, Apple has really set a new standard. They've put a ton of power and innovation into these sleek, portable machines. The question is, what will you do with that power? How will you use it to unleash your own potential?
That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing the limits of what's possible.
Until next time, happy diving.
We'll see you in the next episode.